Facebook for us.
But I was just amending something. Facebook. What's the Facebook page called?
Property Professionals. Jack, what are we going to discuss this afternoon? It was a surprise.
It's keeping your pipeline full. My favourite topic, Dill. I think you've seen me talk a little bit about it before.
Well, anything you do, Jack, is my favourite topic, mate.
Blimey, there we go.
The fan club's already started. You know that, don't you?
I know. I love it though.
Sorry, it's all deserved. Some challenge. So it's all deserved, mate. It's not. It's none of this is made up because you're the man. When it comes to understanding stuff, you're the man. What's going on here, man? What am I doing? I wish I. Sorry, I do think I know what I'm doing sometimes, and then I try and do it each week, and it doesn't always work. But here we go. Akil, how are you doing on this going live business?
I'm not 100% sure. It says live, custom live streaming service. I'm not sure, to be honest. I can't get into your Facebook, so I cannot see, unfortunately.
Hey,
let me have a look.
You rescue us, Jack. It's, Jack to the rescue, as they say. That'd be a good T-shirt, wouldn't it?
I don't think I could get away with wearing it.
What, Jack to the rescue? Definitely, mate. you listen. You'd be the prime candidate for that.
Yeah, I can't see us live today.
I can't either. I can see the 25th one, but I can't see now live one. Today's one. You've added an event, how to keep your pipeline full, but other than that, I can't see it going live now.
No, I can't see it either.
It's live streaming. Copy live streaming event. It is live streaming. Can't find it. Okay. Where are we on YouTube? Yeah. It's live streaming on YouTube. Yep, I can see. Sorry, I do think I know what I'm doing sometimes, and then I've seen it on YouTube. Try and do it. That's the YouTube feedback, so that's live on there. And
could you post the YouTube link on your Facebook page?
Come on, mate. That's a bit complicated. Let me have a go. You do know I didn't use Facebook before I started this, before the lockdown.
Okay, I want to quickly whip my jumper off.
Whoa!
Any time for that?
Hang on. Let's go live before you do that. Oh, that's funny, mate. Damn, we just caught the sound of that. Good job you're not on camera. Hang on, I'm gonna record this just in case. Just in case I fluff this up, I think we'll go live somewhere on Facebook. Let me make sure I record this. Right, so we're going to record this just in case I fluff it up.
Yeah,
right. So I'm going to stop the screen share and hopefully they can see our faces. Right, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully we are live. Well, I think we're live on YouTube. I'm not sure about Facebook, but we'll get there. So Thursday afternoon, as every Thursday afternoon at 5, we bring you the Property Professionals. Got an awesome show this week. Oh man, I got one of my favorites on as a guest. So you'll have to wait and find out who it is. And just to make sure, I've got a stack of 50p's. You are really going to enjoy the content. He's going to tell me off in a minute, but he knows what I'm like. Amazing speaker. And before him, we've got another amazing guest on, our regular Akil. Akil really knows his stuff about money. He's the man with the money, right? So, got a stack of 50p's. And what am I going to say to you? Put down your coloring pencils, get your writing pens out. All we're going to do is give you amazing content this afternoon. Akil, the man with the money, over to you. And I'm going to put some 50p's in so you can share your slides.
I appreciate it. Thanks for allowing me. So, hi all, my name's Akil. I own a company called Our Mortgage Broker. We are specialist mortgage brokers Here in the UK, we've got a team of 8 mortgage brokers that specialize in all types of mortgages, property finance, and protection. So whether you are a first-time buyer, a portfolio landlord, and or a commercial investor, we like to think we can arrange competitive and affordable finance. So as I said, the company name is Our Mortgage Broker. For those of you that have got a flashy camera, do take a picture of our QR code. That'll take you into our inquiry page, and then we can pick up from there with your inquiry. For those of you that are a bit more old school and prefer by means of telephone and email, again, you can see my telephone and direct email address there. So do reach out to us with any type of inquiry. So let's kick off with the market update, just short and sweet. We're going to be talking about, obviously, UK housing market. Good news is, well, depends on what side of the coin you look at it. The average house price has grown by 10% on an annual basis in November, and those figures were shared by Nationwide last week. The government have announced 6,800 new homes to be built as part of the government brownfield land release fund. So that's really, really good news, potentially for developers in the UK. First-time buyers have now regained a competitive advantage. So because of the stamp duty incentive that's now tapered off at the end of September. So it gives the opportunity for first-time buyers not to be priced out of the market and to have an advantage over home movers and buy-to-let investors. So good news for the first-time buyers. And on the first-time buyers part, just be aware that there are 95% of mortgages available if you're a first-time buyer, and also if you're a home mover as well. So that's good news. A rise in the bank base rate in the near future is anticipated. You know what? Who knows whether we're going to see a rate increase or not? Either way, it is very likely. But again, you've got to price in any rate increases when you are looking for any type of funding, whether it's development finance, whether it's bridging, whether it's buy-to-let or a home move. So anticipate a rate rise, but again, there are competitive rates on the market as low as sub 1%, and we'll go through those in a minute on the market, and as well as buy-to-let rates are actually falling, we're finding, whether you're purchasing in a personal name capacity or a corporate company. Strong rental demand in Q3 has pushed rental growth up to the highest levels in 13 years. So these are just facts and figures that we've come across over the last week, between last week and this week. So I thought I'd share that news with you. We always like to mention this because we think this is going to be a ticking time bomb in 2025. EPC requirements, what do the new changes entail? Currently, domestic private rental properties must meet a minimum level of energy efficiency, which is a rating between E and A. However, from 2025, all rental properties will need to have a rating of C to A. So if you've got a rental property that has an E rating, you're not going to be able to get a buy-to-let mortgage. So be aware of any new rental properties with new tenants from 2025. Your buy-to-let investment must have a rating of C to A. And any existing tenancies will have until 2028 to comply with, again, the rating of C to A. So for those of you that are looking to buy investment properties, ideally look for properties that are, worst case a D, where you might need small alterations to bring it back to a C level, or look for properties that have a C to an A rating. Otherwise, you will not get a buy-to-let mortgage in 2025. I thought I'll give you a snapshot. I've never done this, but as independent brokers, directly authorized mortgage brokers in the market with lots of experience, I wanted to touch on, I probably will be doing this on a weekly basis now, is just give you a snapshot of the types of deals that we've done in the last week or month. So on this occasion, it's the ones that we've completed in November. So we've done a small handful of deals that we've completed as part of the bigger picture. So we've helped broker a deal for an independent school and nursery purchase, and that was a commercial mortgage. We've arranged a bridging loan for a client that wanted to buy a 4-bed semi-detached house in which he's going to convert to a HMO and then exit out onto a commercial buy-to-let HMO mortgage. We've also helped a first-time buyer buy his first home as a new married couple, and we always love doing those. We've also helped an auction buyer buy our auction, and we've done that via a bridging loan as well, and we've completed within the 28 days that was required. We've also helped a first-time landlord get onto the property ladder. He owned his main residence, came into some money during this year, and he wanted to buy his first investment property. So we arranged that for him as well. We've also actually refinanced a portfolio, and that was a blanket loan, one loan facility over 24 properties. And that was a nice deal to see, and a lot of hard work. But again, it's what you do, how you do it, and the open communication channels with both the client, surveyor, lender, and the conveyancer. And last but not least, one of the other deals that we have completed this month is a pub with residential flats above, which we've refinanced with a mainstream lender on the high street. And that was an owner-occupied pub with investment residential flats above. So that just gives you an indication of the types of deals that we're doing at our mortgage broker. And again, we're open to all types of inquiry. So whether you're a first-time buyer all the way up to a seasoned investor, would love to hear from you. Or even if you have got an existing mortgage broker, do contact us just so we can compare apples and apples and making sure that you are in the right hands with regards to rates and terms and fees. Last but not least, the slide before the last one is giving you an indication of where the rates lie. Nothing much has changed at all from last week to this week. Rates are still very, very competitive. They're very much in demand, and lenders are willing to lend, which is good news. What I would say is ensure that you have the right documentation. I've left that slide out today, but as your mortgage brokers, we will give you a heads up on the types of documents and information we'll need on day one. So we save you time and energy, and most importantly, get that deal underwritten on day one rather than toing and throwing with the lender or the underwriter as well. So that's what we're here for, to handhold you along the way. But there's an indication of what the rates look like. So if you're a HMO, looking for a HMO in a limited company rate start from 2.89. If you're looking to buy buy-to-lets in your personal name, which still there's quite a big market for that as well, even though Section 24 has fully come into effect, rates from 1.14. Buy-to-let mortgage rates in a limited company structure start from 2.59. So these are phenomenal rates, and these are rates have come down over the last 6 to 9 months, we found. 90% mortgages are still available, and likewise so are 95. But in this illustration, rates start from 1.34, which is a tracker rate mortgage, which is linked to the Bank of England base rate. And then if you've got more equity in, you've got a larger deposit, 60% loan to value rates start from 0.84, which are phenomenal low rates. I like to leave you always with the last week, a quote of the week, if you like, or my last thoughts. Your network is your net worth, and that goes back to, it's all about who you surround yourself with. Every day is a school day, making sure that you're always upping your game and having the right people around you. The property business can be very lonely, but again, it can be very fruitful. And what I would say to everyone in this business or entering this business or looking to scale their portfolios is you cannot be short of any professionals around you. Don't try to go at it alone. Make sure you've got the right people around you. And that could be anybody from, we've got Dill here, who's a party wall surveyor, property tax accountants, planning consultants, architects, and obviously independent mortgage brokers like ourselves. So I thought I'll leave that with you. And on my last screen here is, once again, is my contact details. Feel free to reach out and we'll try our best to support you on your next transaction. Over to you, Dill.
Akhil, thank you very much. The man with the money. Actually, looking at all those mortgages you've arranged for everybody, I think you should be putting the 50p's in the meter, mate.
I will do. I owe you a couple, so yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Listen,
Christmas meet.
Oh no, yeah, that's a secret operation. Not sure what's happening there. Before we go on to our very special next guest, I'm going to ask you the two usual questions. So first of all, actually one's a comment. Thank you for putting the EPC thing on. I know we're going to get to 2025 and people are going to say, assuming we're still not locked down, people are going to say, what? Where did this EPC stuff come from? Right. So thank you for putting that on. And second question is, when are you going to go and work for the Bank of England?
Oh yeah, we talk about this each and every week. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I can adjust my day as I wish, but no, I wish all the Bank of England
not
members all the best, and hopefully they make the right decisions in the next couple of months.
Do you know when they're putting?
Not yet.
Do you know if they're putting the interest rates up then?
You know what? Half the world say yes and half the world say no. Who knows? But what I would say is hedge your bets now. Plan. Property is always a long game, so you've got to hedge these bets in, and work with the right people. And it comes down to having the right accountants to give you right tax advice and so on. So even if there is a rate increase, it's not going to go from 0.1 to 10% overnight. So you've got plenty of time to get your ducks in order, I would say.
This is why I say this man is eminently qualified to be on the Bank of England, but he won't tell us till he gets there. So thank you, Echo. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
Look, brilliant. And like I said, we've got a super guest next. And
Yeah, I'll be hanging around. I'll be listening to Jack.
yeah,
Nice to meet you,
mate. We all want to listen to Jack, don't we? Listen, if you've still got your colouring pencils out, put them away. Get your pens out. Time for some notes. And I'm going to say this really, really carefully. If you've been on a property sourcing course, you could probably chuck all that stuff away and listen to our next guest. Yeah. So I'm not going to give him a big intro because I've tried to build up a little bit of hype, but it's all truly deserved. And we were having an interesting conversation as we were trying to go live. But hopefully, Jack, have you got your top off?
My hoodie that was on is now off. We're safe, Dill. We don't have to worry about it. You don't have to try and record me again.
Good man, good man. Look, by the way, if you didn't realise, he did used to be a model, but that's not what he's here talking about. Listen. Enough of the mucking around. Honestly, take some really great notes. The content Jack is about to deliver, I haven't seen it yet, but knowing Jack, and it's been a while since he's been on, it is absolutely going to blow your mind. Jack, I'm going to stop talking now, which is unusual for me. I'm going to pay attention to what you've got. I'm going to put all the 50p's in the meter so you can share as many slides as you like. Over to you, mate.
Thank you very much, Dill. Really appreciate it, and good to be back on these calls. It has been a little while, hasn't it?
Yep. I'm going to try and keep quiet, so I'm going to let you get on with it, mate.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm hoping you can see my slides.
Yeah, magic, the 50p's.
Have we got a Q&A at the end of this?
Well, of course, I can ask you as many questions as you like, but...
Very good, very good. Well, this presentation's similar to one that I've done for your group before, but there's a lot more that's changed, happened. We've really ramped things up this year. I think the last call I did for you was sort of earlier on in the year. We've managed to buy about 16 sites this year, which is obviously not bad going. But in short, I'll do a short introduction to who we are, what we do. I'll show you a little bit about the projects that we've been working on and what sort of publicity that's driven recently. And then I'll dive straight into keeping your pipeline full, which in my opinion is the most important thing and what most people ask me how we do it. So on average this year, we've actually bought over a site a month to develop. So we've been extremely active, and that's just down to our process. And I know people have said it's hard to find deals this year. We've just stuck to our process and it hasn't failed us. So who are we to start off? This is the team. We're XP Property. We are a collective, young, dynamic, ambitious SME property development business based in the home counties in West London. We're currently building out £16 million worth of pipeline. I was making a presentation earlier for our team, and we've got £7 million worth of pipeline in legals. And we've managed to average a purchase every 6.8 weeks since we set up the business in 2018. So for what we lack in grey hairs, we make up for in activity. Here's a little bit about me. I won't go into too much detail, but Dad was he used to run a plant and tool hire company. So I was sort of born into property, as it were. Every property I lived in at a young age, he had built. And when I came out of university and didn't want to work in the office, I then went straight back to on site and started working on flipping properties in Oxfordshire, which is where I'm from. The majority of those were over 30% return on investment. They're really good schemes. They're a lot more difficult to find. So these schemes along the bottom here, you can see, were sort of ground up build developments that we did. And I actually built those with my own hands. So I can do all stages of carpentry, plastering, painting, roofing, pretty much anything apart from very detailed electrical work and plumbing. Also worked as a project manager in West London for a 70,000 square foot commercial fit out, which had a spend of 7 million. And then joined forces with Ben, and we run an eclectic group of businesses, which I'll come on to later, that all offer slightly different services, but we're predominantly developers. I won't talk too much about Ben as he's not here, but he's qualified and a master's in architectural engineering from Cardiff. He works at several design and delivery businesses, so architects, structural engineers, the Berkeley Group developers, all the way up for 12 years until the point he decided to quit his job, do his own development, and also set up his architectural practice, which is now coincidentally award-winning. He now obviously runs a development business with me and the architectural practice too. So what do we do? This is just basically itemization of the schemes that we've been working on. So there's mixtures in there between high-end residential homes, there's blocks of 14 flats, there's conversions of 5-bedroom houses into 2 3-bedroom houses. But what we do is we don't overcomplicate things. We make sure it's de-risked at the beginning. We make sure that we add value in planning if we can. And we make sure that we think about the exit before we've even started. We like space planning. We like being a bit dynamic and using some funky tech, putting in PV panels or electric charging points, or we're good at exploring the value of what the asset needs doing. We don't necessarily, I have a phrase, we don't necessarily set the oven before we go shopping. We go shopping first and then decide how we're going to cook it. Which also brings us on to commercial. We have done a few commercial deals. Some of these are our better and best deals. One was a grade A office that we built out 7 units. We bought an old NHS clinic, and we managed some commercial buildings, and I mentioned the fit out as well. But it doesn't stop there. This is our pipeline and delivery of 2020 and 2021. Obviously, this is going to be dated soon because we're 1 month away, but this is everything we've acquired and delivered in the last couple of years to sort of show our activity and what we're doing. Some are income generating, like HMOs or housing association assets. Most of them are developments. That's what we're best at and we strive to do. So planning plays, ground up developments, conversions, so on and so forth. But that's our current pipeline. We've got about 6 deals in legals at the moment, which aren't featured on this page. I mentioned the ecosystem of companies. If you look there on the left-hand side, all of those companies we own and run, all of them have a different type of service. At XP Properties, property development. Central Suites is our property management business, which is a HMO building portfolio. Aparo Social is the housing association business we're joint venturing with Aparo and Toby and his team there. Obviously, All Architecture Ben runs, and recently, a year ago, we set up XP Surveys, which is a topographical and building measurement surveying company. If anyone listening needs a building measurement or a topographical survey, let me know, and let me know that you're watching this, and I'll give you a free discount on your first survey. So this is a bit to show that we do HMOs as well. We're not all flipping and trading assets and going and planning and building out and selling units. We think that there's true value to be a property investor as well as a property developer, and that you can work extremely hard as a property developer. As soon as you stop working, you stop making an income. So that's why we're building a portfolio alongside the development stuff. And we're on to quite a few houses now, just above 60 beds. So a bit more overall stuff. Comically, technically, all of our businesses now are award-winning apart from XP Surveys. So Central Suites has built award-winning HMOs, All Architecture is award-winning architecture practice, and XP Property is an award-winning development business. We like to speak at events like this and other events locally, London, home counties, and we've recently featured in Property Investor News as well. Some news, we got nominated for 3 awards. We entered for 3 awards. There was over 200 applicants for the Property Investor Awards. One of them was Development of the Year, and one of them was HMO Property Deal of the Year, under 6 beds. And we're very pleased to have taken home the award for the best HMO in the UK, which is fabulous. And we were one of 2 remaining on the development. So we were also chuffed to be in that position. So I've got some numbers for you. I know we're diving in a bit early on numbers, but why was it award winning? So we bought it for 780 grand. Our build cost was 550-ish. Our professional fees were 80,000. Our utilities was nominal. So our total cost was about 1.5 million. Our GDV on a Redbook RICS valuation was 2.25. We actually think that if we compress the yield and sell it on the open market as a commercial ongoing concern, we could probably get another 400k on that value. So Red RICS book puts our profit of 550 which is a profit return at 25% on GDV. For the people out there that don't really know what that is gauging, the average developer looks for 20% on GDV. So we're 4% in excess of that. And one thing to note is I mentioned that if we were to list this on the open market, it wasn't just a Redbooks valuation, our profit margin would be around 900k and our percentage on GDV would be about 36%. Numbers on the HMO, we bought it for £215,000 plus auction fees and legal fees and stamp duty. We spent about 75k on the deal, including 5k of professional fees. Our all-in cost was 313. Our GDV was 380. We added £67,000 worth of value to the asset in under 5 months, refinanced it out to take a gross income of nearly £40,000, a net cash inflow of £15,500, which gives us 55% back on our money that was left in the deal. But I think one of the stronger factors of why it probably won deal of the year also is we're going into planning to do a double-story extension out the back of the house. So it's already finished, we're already getting the income, and we're now in planning to build that out the back. So that's a bit about us and what we've been up to, and if you've got any questions on that, put them in the chat box. I'm sure Dill will bring them to me at the end, or alternatively send me a direct message. But the main thing and why I'm here to talk about today, so I've shown you the team, and we do have a great team that support us, but the sort of proviso of our business, and Ben and I have a very much analogy of divide and conquer, is I work on all of the acquisitions, structuring and funding, and Ben works then on all the design, delivery and sales. So you can see this pipeline growing quite easily. So it all comes in at the front end for me. I get out there, I speak to agents, I find the deals, I negotiate them, I structure them, I fund them. And then when we bought it, I hand it over to Ben and he designs and delivers it and sells the units or keeps them on the refinance. So there's a sort of a good marriage there, as you can see, that we've both got two different skill sets. We both head up two sides of the business. And that is why my job is keeping our pipeline full, and why I'm talking to you guys today, and how we've bought an asset or a development every 6.8 weeks since we've set up the business. So the most important thing is I'm fully process driven. You've got to understand what the process is. If you don't have a process, you don't follow it, and you don't bring results consistently. And unfortunately, I'm going to let you all into a bit of a secret. Any success of any business is hard work and consistency. And if you have those two, you probably do okay. They're good foundations to start on. And even if you don't know a lot about the industry, those two will help that snowball and build your experience. So our process is understanding what we're looking for, how and where we look for them, what we do to them when they come in, how we de-risk them, how we offer, and how we follow up. And that's pretty much the broad brush strokes of how we keep our pipeline full. I'm going to go into a lot more detail on what that actually means, and that will come up in the following slides. So one thing that we do, which is quite interesting, is people say to me, what do you look for? And I go, well, any development between this value and this value in this location. And what that enables us to do is an estate agent or a landowner or someone is really easily able to digest that. So this is actually what we're looking for in terms of a product. So a development, planning uplift, assisted sales, options, subject to planning, or selling on a site. And all of those 6 options of us securing something all require the same process to find something. So it's very efficient because we keep the same avenue of finding deals, but we create one of these 6 out of the way that we find them. So what I'm getting at is we don't have to have 6 different processes to find 6 different types of deals. We have the same process that spits out the different types of deals. So our process is we get our activity up, focus on KPIs. If you're not active and you're not viewing and you're not looking at stuff, you're not going to get the deals. So we focus on that activity and setting yourself goals. If you need 1 offer accepted every 2 months, how many properties do you need to offer on? Okay, you might need to offer on 3 a month. If you need to offer on 3 a month, how many do you need to view? Might be 10 a month. So that we'll come on to KPIs later, but you reverse engineer what you need and what that needs to be looking like in terms of your diary and what you're doing. Second method is we have a rating system, which is basically when you have, and this happens to us quite a lot, 10 deals on your desk, 3 of them are poor, 3 of them are okay, and 3 of them are good, sometimes it's difficult to know where to spend your time. So this is just a simple rating system that we use to make sure we're spending the right time and the right deals. You may end up stacking all 10 and getting offers out on all 10. But what you don't want to do is explore 3, maybe 1 good, 1 bad, 1 ugly, and actually end up not securing the deal. Point 3, we draft stack. So once we have fine-tuned the good deal, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the deals, we then want to know with very sort of swift action which ones are good. So this table on the right-hand side is our draft stack. And what it is there's only a few input levels. So you need price, stamp duty is calculated automatically, legals is a standard £2,000, works costs you need to tap in, other costs you need to tap in, and GDV you need to tap in. And then if that spits out a fairly okay-ish type deal, sort of circa 5 or 10% on GDV, then we would spend more time on it. If you don't do a draft stack, you could end up spending hours on your detailed stack and finding out that it's not worth it. Which brings us on to the next one. Once rated, drafted, and looks good, we then go into a deep dive and we view it. We always do a draft stack before we view it. We always do a rating before we view it, and that's how we go about things. And then not really a method, but the fifth point, which is sort of a point we always reiterate, is always be offering on stuff. So if you've done the numbers on and put an offer forward, if you've done a draft stack and it's miles out, tell the agent and share it with them. So always be sort of putting something on the table, because you never know. So where are these deals coming from? All we use is these 4 avenues. So it's agents, direct to vendor, your own network. So if you're on a call like this and you've got a deal that we can help you with, or we've got a deal you can help us with, that's how you get a deal through your network. Or fourth, and most important, is your previous pipeline. So everything that you've looked at before via agents, via direct to vendor, via your network. So that's picking up on all of the hard work that you've already put in. Now, one thing I will say is I know people in the property market that go, oh, I don't touch deals that are through agents. I can't be bothered to go through the bidding process. But in reality, if that's your attitude, you could still spend some time with agents, because there might be the right deal that comes up at the right time. So you would just probably end up spending more time direct to vendor, if that's your way of going about things. We actually set our timeframes like this. We spend about 50% with on-market agents, 20% direct to vendor, 20% our actual network, and 10% reviewing everything that we've offered on, viewed, and been in discussions with before. So if I was out there and I couldn't find any deals, what I would suggest is you take note of these 4, you understand which ones you want to be spending the most time on, and you just start building a process around that. Now, obviously, the direct vendor deals have less competition. They do take longer, so you might have a higher success rate. But when it's down to our business, we wanted to build a team, build a business, build a development business. So we've got mouths to feed. So we couldn't just rely on lettering and waiting 3 years for deals to be converted, and through planning for development. And one thing that I thought was really key to say here is I've heard a lot of naysayers in the property industry and in our industry say, I don't touch deals that go on market. I don't touch deals with agents. The 2 deals that I showed you earlier, which is the HMO of the year and the development finalist of the year, both were via an agent. In actual fact, the HMO of the year went on the market twice. It went on the market with an agent and then an auctioneer. So that just proves that you can do good deals with market deals. They can be on the market and they can work. It's all about what you're bringing to the table, how you negotiate that, how you come across. So this is just my sort of hearsay to say deals that are on the market do work. They're not as easy to win in a bidding process because there's more competition. They're a lot easier to find, and they're always for sale as well, which doesn't always happen in direct to vendor. So that's just my sort of view. Most of the deals we buy are on market with agents. So how do we find these? So with agents, it's fairly straightforward. Go on viewings, build rapport, maybe do some socials with them, take them to lunch, take them to dinner, go out for a beer with them, go out for coffee with them, take them to golf, whatever it may be. And improve your activity. Show them the other projects you're working on. Show them what you've bid on. Show them what you're doing before. Meet up with them, talk them through stuff, test them, see what their values are, build that rapport with them. A lot of agents that I work with, I do have a good relationship with, and it's sort of beyond sort of first name and you know, we call each other mate or bud, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but what I'm saying is when you get to that stage, it's a very much a different conversation. If you go, I think it's overpriced, that doesn't work for us, compared to someone where you don't have that relationship and you go, I think it's overpriced. They'll just go, well, someone's going to buy it. So that relationship gets you a foot in the door and gets them to work with you. One thing that a lot of developers and property buyers forget is that individual that's working at the estate agent tends to get 10% of the sales fee. So let me paint a picture. Let's say you're buying a building that's worth £1 million and they've been instructed to sell it at 1%. That's obviously quite a tasty 10k fee. That individual in that office is getting 10% of that 10k fee. So he's getting £1,000. Now, if you offer 950 and you think you're chipping it too much, all that individual is missing out on is 50 quid. So when you look at it, get the agent on side, make sure a committed buyer, because they want transactions. They don't necessarily want whatever the value is going for. They want the trade. And that's one thing to always remember. Direct vendors, I could do a whole call on this, but before we can do that, basically send out letters and follow up. There's tons of ways that you can find the right deals, drive-bys, using tech, using data, just blanket lettering, almost like flyering. There's loads of ways you can do it. We're not massive on it because we get enough deals through agents, so we stick to that. Network, doing what you're doing. If you're watching this, you're a networking folk and you've networked before by the sounds of things. So stay networking, communicate with people, tell them what you're good at, tell them what you've got. If you've got a deal that's quite tricky at building, maybe you want to partner with someone that's good at delivering. If you've got the money and you haven't got the deal, maybe you want to communicate that and find the person with the deal. So it's all about communicating about what you can bring to the table. And a joint venture partnership is a great way to move forward. Obviously, you do have to kiss a few frogs to find the right partners, and there's certain ways that we could do that. But one thing I will say is if you partner with someone, you pick up a lot of skills quicker because you're de-risking it, because you're relying on their skills for a section and your own for another. And then the fourth, which I mentioned before, which is just review everything that you've offered on. It's very, very simple. If you put out an offer a month for a year and you haven't revisited those offers, you're wasting your own time that you've already spent on them. We're very proactive. We get out between 10 and 20 offers a month, and we revisit them all the time. We had a lot of success. We've actually got a 6-unit scheme, fully consented, in legals at the moment, which was one where we got outbid. We followed up, and now we've got the contract. So always follow up. I mentioned KPIs, and what people forget is they think it's part hard work, part luck. Unfortunately, it's all hard work. You've got to be putting in the metrics. You've got to be putting in the activity. We know to get out 10 to 20 offers a month, we need to be looking and reviewing at about 30 properties per month, so one a day. If you're not on top of that, you're not going to reach the end. So it's very simple. You reverse engineer, you figure out what you need to do. There's a lot of people listening might want to do one development a month, which is similar to us, or alternatively, one development a year. Either way, there's a metric that you need to follow, that you've got your offers out per maybe month, or if you want one a year, maybe you need to get one offer out a month for 6 months, and let's hope you get some deals in. But build those metrics back. So how many then do you have to view, and then how many agents have you got to build relationships, and so on and so forth. And do it as a percentage target, because then you know if you're not fulfilling it and it's honest. So our rating system, which is something that a lot of other developers comically have actually adopted as well, because when you do have a stack of deals on your desk, it's sometimes difficult to see the swan between the sort of ugly ducklings. So what we do is we have 3 rating systems. The deal, what it looks like, how big it is it suitable for you, what's the location like, what type of deal it is it commercial conversion, land, mixed use, are you comfortable with that? And that's all about, is it the right deal for you? 2, the marketing. Is it everywhere and anywhere on Rightmove, Zoopla, Estate Gazettes, all online? Or have you been given a week on it before it goes to market just to see if it's of interest for you? That's another way to score. So sorry, 5 is good and 0 is bad. And then 3rd and final is your relationship. So the marketing could be really strong and everywhere on the market, but you can have a really good relationship with that agent. You know they're going to work on side for you to make sure you get the deal. Alternative, on the flip side, it could not be marketed at all, but could be an absolute random lead that you've just picked up through some person you've met at a property event. So this is how we score deals. And let me give you a quick example. Actually, I'll go through the details and then I'll give you a quick example. So it's at 15, 15 is the highest and good. And this is basically an overview of what is considered and other factors in the deal. So use class, location, size, GDV. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example of a deal that's perfect for us. We operate in the home counties. So if I found a mixed use development for 8 units in South Oxfordshire, that scores a 5. If I find a 1-bed flat in Warwick that's got a short lease and it's to extend the lease, that would cause score a 0 for us, because we're not up there and we're not interested in that. But some of you might, so that would be different for you. The market, where has it been put? Is it on Rightmove, Estate Gazette? Is it on one of the boutique agent who actually don't have a Rightmove account? Is it off market? Is it a direct to vendor? Have you got exclusivity over it? So this is how we score it. So the less it's being marketed, the higher it scores. So again, that example, that little mixed use 6-unit, 8-unit development in South Oxfordshire has come through us via an off market contact. That's at a 5 and a 5. So we're currently at a 10 to see where that deal's at. Let's look at our Warwick scheme, which is a 1-bed flat and it's got a non-expiring lease, but it's one of my mates that's actually sent it to me. So it's completely off market. I would still score that a 5, even though the deal's not quite right, still score that a 5. Which brings us back on to the final and fifth and final rating, which is who's the contact? Is it a trusted client? Is it a trust relationship? Is it a joint venture? If the deal is already secured in legals and it could be a joint venture, that's a really strong relationship you've got there. And there's a very strong likelihood that you're going to get the deal. So this is all about the likelihood of your success, additional to the marketing. So let's use an example. So the 8-unit development in Henley, in South Oxfordshire, Henley's where I live. Let's say that scored 5 in deal and 5 in marketing because it got sent to me by a contact that I know. But I don't, it got sent to me by a random contact that I know. So I would actually score that a 0. So it's still a 10. And Warwick was not a great deal, sent via a very close friend, and it's not marketed elsewhere. That would score a 5 as well. So as you can see, they're equal scores, but quite easily one of them could tip above the other. And it might come to a point where the deals that you're securing are just very straightforward processes because you're not competing with many people. And on the flip side, the deal is just a really strong deal. So we rate it out at 15, and then it's supposed to be a very quick process, and we want it to be quick because we want to spend the time on stacking the deal, not on keep looking and rating stuff, right? So it's all about looking at it and giving it a bit of its score and sort of eyeballing that and thinking about it. And that way, out of the 10 deals on your desk, you can spend the right time on the right deals. So we've talked about where we find them, how we form that process, how we qualify them, how we set KPIs, how we go run them through the review. So look at it, put it through a draft appraisal, put it detailed appraisal, then view it, then offer, then follow up. But one thing that I find really key, and one of the biggest successes in securing deals once you've got a good eye on it and you know what it is and it works and you want the deal, is understanding motivation. This is such a key one for us, because if you don't know the seller's motivation, I would almost go as far as saying you're almost never going to get that deal done unless you're lucky. So what I mean by this is, if you understand the reason someone's selling something, if they're time motivated or money motivated, you can understand what's going to work well for them. And that's how we structure things creatively. As an example, if we know someone's money motivated, we might structure something a lot more creative and do some sort of JV or assisted sale or delayed payment or vendor finance to pay them more, because if we don't have to mobilize that much capital, or we don't have to buy it, so we haven't got acquisition costs, we can be creative and pay them more for that facility. If they're time motivated, you've just got to be at the right price, basically, and you've got to be able to commit and do the deal. So that's a really key one for us. And the way that we come over this is we tend to do something called a dual offer. And what that means is we offer 1, unconditionally, straight, get the deal done now, and 2, so A and B, subject or conditional to something, whether that's planning, de-risking, funding, getting a plot of land next door. It can be anything you want. But what we do is we create 2 different schemes, 2 different scenarios, and that way you get a response and you tend to sort of piece out what that motivation is for that seller. Works really well because they come back and say, not interested in the unconditional, it's too low. And then you know they're not really motivated to get rid of this ASAP. If they come back and say, Not interested in waiting 6 months. The unconditional is too low too. You then know where you're working at. And what you've got to remember is the unconditional complements the subject planning because it makes it look higher. And it's our job to figure that out. So the more you know about the seller's motives, the easier it makes it for you to get a deal done. So once you know where you're looking, you know how you're structuring that, your activity's up, you're getting offers out. And then once those offers are going out, the more information you can figure from that individual selling that property, the more likely you're going to get some deals done. But that's it. Dill, I don't know if we've got any questions.
I've got a few questions. Some come in, some for you. Fantastic, Jack. Thank you very much, as always. And you probably heard me speak. I'm a big fan of training stuff, but I think we could chuck half our training stuff away and listen to your stuff. Couple of interesting points. So on that HMO deal, you mentioned red book valuation versus what it would sell for.
Yeah, that was actually on the, I mean, HMO would sell for more than the red book, agreed.
Yeah.
That was actually on the mixed use developments. This is 7 apartments, 7 offices, and got valued at 2.25.
So basically, just for the viewers, you're saying what the surveyor values it on and what you sell it for are two different things. And probably because of current market, I mean, not just current market conditions, it's likely the surveyors are going to value it less than what you'd sell it for in the market. Is that
yeah, that's I mean, there's a phrase where something's worth what someone will pay for it. So
yeah.
Technically speaking, you don't know what something's worth until you try and sell it. And we haven't tried to sell it. So the next best thing is to get an unpredictable surveyor to go around and do a survey, which we needed to do because we are refinancing the whole asset and retaining the commercial space. But yeah, in short, we got valued at a 7% yield cap rate. This is in RG7, so Reading, really good area. Other office, so there's only other 2 offices in this like vicinity, and coincidentally, one of them has been sold 2 years ago, and it's sold for a 5.5% yield. So that's 1.5% less than what we're currently warranting this to be worth. So in our opinion, we could probably get similar money to that other development. And this is newer and a bit more sexy. So that there are other factors that might make it actually worth more, but being conservative, that's how we get a higher valuation on resales, because we've used an actual sold comparable rather than blanket cap rate in that area.
Yeah. So sorry, did you say what was the phrase you used for the surveyor? We could be unkind to him, don't worry.
I said unpredictable.
Unpredictable. So does that
obviously, Dill, I'm referring to valuation surveyors. I would never say that about a party wall surveyor.
They're even worse. I'll give you an inside secret. They're even worse.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
100%. Well, the ones I come across. Anyway, that's a different topic. We could talk about that at a later stage. The second deal you talked about, and this I found really something interesting. Did I catch the numbers right? And you said you actually got money out of that.
We didn't, and there's a good reason for that. So we don't refinance our HMOs on investment value, and the reason being is, one, because we're happy to leave a bit of cash in. So we left 28 grand in the deal, but we were happy to do that, and I'll tell you why. So what I see quite a lot in the HMO market, and I'm going to bore you a bit with some economics of HMOs, but stick with me and you might understand it. What happens is people fly off the back of a course, they haven't even put their wings out, and they start buying HMOs in an area. When they start buying the HMOs in the area, it's probably not that saturated, because they wouldn't go there if it was saturated. We're assuming that they've got a bit of nous about them. Now, they're in that area and they're buying HMOs, and they bought 10 HMOs, so they've got about 50 beds. And they've leveraged, they bought one, refinanced it, and took all their money back out. They've done that 10 times in a row. Now, that first valuation is based off the rental income and a multiplier. The second one's the same, the third one's the same, the fourth one's the same, the fifth one's the same. When they get to their 10th, some other bloke has come in and some other woman's come in, and they both set up a HMO portfolio in this area because this guy's doing so well. The room rates in the whole town drop because there's saturation. And now there's 50 beds, 50 beds, 50 beds. The the room rates dropped 20% across the board. So they've gone from 650 for an ensuite to 550 as an example. Therefore, technically, HMO developer number one is now in negative equity because he's not getting the same rates he was when there was no demand, when there was, no supply. So we do all of our HMO valuations of bricks and mortar for the reason that if we ever needed to revert them back to a family home or whatever it may be, because we wanted to, one, be less work intensive, so flip them back to single lets, or two, the areas that we're operating in, which is 3 different areas, become saturated, we're not exposed financially. And anyone will know that when you start getting into negative equity, it starts to cause problems like refinancing out, and have you actually built a valuable portfolio? Because all you've done is borrow from Peter to give to Paul, and you've now got 100 houses that aren't worth anything. They cash flow like you wouldn't believe, but they're not worth anything. So we're in the when we're buying HMOs, we're in the equity increasing and cash flow increasing game. And if you're just cash flow increasing and not equity increasing, we're not really interested. So we only do bricks and mortar valuations. This one left in 28 grand, which we were happy with. We tend to leave in between 5 and 50k on all of our HMOs. But the good thing about them is they return about 50% back on the cash that you've got left in the deal.
Fantastic. And it's interesting. So that one won an award, basically. Was that for design, or because
that was just generally all things included HMO of the year? Okay, great. And won this year, literally like 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Okay. So if someone wants an HMO designed, your team's the team to do it, I guess.
Happy to help. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. No, great. Akil, I'm going to see if you've got a view on what Jack just said about. Still, if I can work the tech. Akil, you still there, mate?
I think he said he might dive off.
Okay. So I was going to ask him his view. No, that's really sensible advice. Now, coming on to your process, really great information there, Jack. One of the things you talked about was revisiting the old pipeline and going, I guess number 4 was go through all of the 3 above again.
Yeah.
What are the comments on that bit then?
So the reason that we do this is between 1 in 3 deals that go under offer fall out of bed. So what you've got to remember is let's use a scenario. So deal goes up, agent puts it in his window, has loads of viewings, 40 people go and view it, 15 put offers forward. We end up being the 5th highest bidder, and we're like, oh, that was a waste of time, tutty bar. Someone else goes ahead to buy it. They're in legals, for whatever reason, whether it's title issues or funding issues or partner issues, or they found out that the windows are broken around the back and it's grade 2 listed. You know, it could be anything. And they what tends to happen is they stall in legals, and then that's the perfect time to be re-engaging with that agent. The last thing that agent wants to be doing again is putting it back up in the window, contacting the other 30 people again and saying, it's back on the market, can you come and have a look? Because he knows full well what's going to happen. It's going to sell for less than it was prerequisitely agreed for, because everyone's going to be like, why is it back on the market? He's got to go and do loads of viewings, maybe 30 again. And that's the process that you've got to follow. So what I try and do is prevent that. I sort of dive in and say, look, can we take this on? If they're not quick enough, can we take this off them? We're happy to do a deal. Where was the contract currently at? The agent might go, we're at X, Y, and Z, and we'll go, cool, we're happy to take the contract to that value. We crack on and go and buy it. And we've done that quite a lot.
And so is there a month, 2 month, 3 month period that you follow up on? What's your sort of
so we tend to if we've been outbid, we'll leave it for 3 months, 2 to 3 months, and then we'll follow up every month, sometimes every other week.
Wow, as much as that?
Yeah, because they sometimes get fed up of saying no, and then they end up selling it to you, because it's just easier to sell it to you than it is to just keep turning you away.
Oh, okay. So the magic is be a pest, really.
Exactly, Dill. There you go.
Yeah, something I know nothing about, of course. Right. And the other part of that equation that's really interesting, you've stuck to your guns in terms of what you think it's worth. You haven't gone in and said, yeah, we want it, we'll give you more money.
So it depends what the deal is. If we really like the deal, we'll take the contract at the value that the other buyer secured it at. because we might be able to spend a bit more time on it and run through the numbers a bit more detailed and get more comfort with it. But more often than not, we've chipped the price at the time we've come back to it, either offering what we offered before or less.
Okay, so what you're saying is you haven't seen the deal. You've seen the deal and you haven't made your figures fit to it. You're going to stay to your figures and stay
exactly that. Yeah.
Strong on them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back, when it comes back on the market, you're going to check them again.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of deals that are done where people like the deal and then they fit the figures to make the deal happen. That's
called emotional analysis. We're here for number analysis, and whether the deal comes pink with a big bow on the top, it's got the same numbers whether it doesn't. So yeah, you've got to be pretty unemotional. You've got to be conservative with your pricing. You've got to be. You can't be. There's failure in optimism. You've got to be pretty realistic.
Yeah, and in terms of the actual mechanics of doing evaluation, is once you've done your quick, and that's a really good technique in terms of, I guess what you're doing is prioritizing your deals there with your 1 to 15. Do you get someone else to check them before you move it further along, or what's your? How do you?
If I'm comfortable with it, I push it through. Yeah.
And okay, and the other thing, if you could put that slide on, and that I guess.
Which one are we looking at?
Sorry, Jack. The time versus money. That letter you pulled out.
Yeah, this one.
I think that's the actual
our offer letter.
Yeah. So if you could send us the slides, we'll share them with all our viewers. Anybody listening, watch that letter carefully. That is worth everything in the property market you can think of. It's a masterpiece, and you've tried and tested it.
Yeah.
So, and the comment you make is, it's either someone wants the money or they want the time. What do you do when they want both and they say, well, I've got a lot of stack. I've got a line full of people with cash willing to buy it off me. What do you do then? In that case, they're wanting both, aren't they, really?
I stop wasting my time on them because they're normally unrealistic in that sense.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to say no, thank you.
Yeah.
Brilliant and super great advice there. Look, Jack, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. I'm trying to not overdo it here.
Yeah. I think Akhil will dive back in there for a second. I don't know if he's still here.
Let's ask him. Akhil, are you back?
Yeah, I'm still here, guys.
Right. So your comments on Jack's presentation, any questions from you?
No, I think it was very thorough. You can clearly see that Jack's got, a lot of skin in the game. He's got a good power team around him. And, and he basically echoed exactly what I said at the beginning as well. You have to have the right team around you. And sometimes you've got to walk away from a deal if it's too good to be true. And the good thing about having a strong power team around you can do a sense check quickly. So what you're doing on day one is high level maths, looking at the large numbers, and most importantly is looking at the finance cost, because ultimately that's the biggest deduction you need to take off the GDV number. So sense check the numbers, speak to your power team around you, whether you've got it in-house, but Jack's clearly got it in-house, which is great, or speak to the power team, the external resources, and then make a conscious decision whether your time is worth pursuing this deal further. So I think there's it's one of those, Jack, you probably might want to agree that you've got to kiss a lot of frogs before you meet your prince, right? That old saying. And not every deal is a deal. So, you've got to clearly work your numbers out. Obviously, everyone's going to be conscious of labor's going up in price, materials are going up in price. So you've got to be conscious, especially when you're setting out and you want to achieve planning permission. That might take 6 or 12 months. You've got to weigh that into the cost of doing so as well.
Jack, any comments on sort of the 6 to whatever time it takes to do a deal and the labor and the materials cost rising?
Yeah, so we don't think that the costs of materials is going to keep going up at the same rate it is. I think it's going to make a few developers come unstuck. There's a lot of people working off smaller margins than us, and we tend to add value in how we structure it. In the planning process, we add value. We add value in the build. We re-engineer it and cut costs and make sure we're not spending things that we shouldn't. And we try and make sure that we're on top of sales and selling quickly and at the good end of the market. So we're trying to turn a screw on values all the way through. So we sort of cover our backs with build in that respect. We also sign JCT contracts so that when things fluctuate, we're not taking that risk. If we're buying a site and taking the investment risk, planning risk, and the overall deal risk, we don't want to take the construction risk also. So we form JCT contracts on pretty much all of our schemes that are above a 100k build. Anything below that, we'll probably contract manage and be less concerned. But prices of materials going up. The reason that labour prices are going up is actually there's not enough labour there. So the labour that is there can charge a premium. And hopefully there is a bit more labour that comes back into the UK, because obviously most of it's European. Property developer, you've got to take all the factors in consideration. You can't go, I'll ignore that and do something else. It's aim. You can make serious mistakes, but you can make serious successes. So our view is we want to be in this for 15 years. So part of being a business owner and a developer that you've got to deal with. So there's only so much you can do. Create value in other areas, materials in bulk. We're buying flooring by the pallet rather than by the pack. We save about 30-40% on that alone. We've got a lot of by the pallet materials.
What's your favourite flooring then, Jack?
LG. It looks really good.
Is that sort of stick on lino? Is that right? Or
yeah, it's like a stick on vinyl, but it's by the board. So you stick each board down individually. The reason we like it for our HMOs is 25-year guarantee. If someone decides to drag a fridge over it, it doesn't rip it up. And let God forbid, pretend it does rip it up, you can just heat up one tile and replace it rather than ripping up the whole flooring. So it's very cohesive projects. Also, it looks great when you prep the area correctly. Most of the cost in flooring is actually in the prep. If you've got good flooring and making sure that it's a good level, once you get that right, you can make a lot of LVT flooring look like genuine timber flooring with that. And buyers like that, if you go, right, you're moving in now and this will last 25 years, here's the contact who's guaranteed it, they love that.
Can anybody do the installation?
Yeah, anyone can fit LVT board plank for floor people, but they only travel up to an hour or two. So pretty much as you can, if you look on that map, those grey areas that surround that's about as far as our contact.
I'm going to try not to keep you any longer. 2 questions. You last.
Yeah, so really good question, and we get asked it quite a lot, to be fair. One thing Ben and I wanted to always never do is into a sales company, because then you're not a developer. And what you should be doing as someone that's training is something in an educational company, then you're actually should be teaching people being top of sales at an education company. But anyway, we digress. So for that reason, Weaves and charging for groups and rooms and this, that, and the other, because it can take over the business. You end up not one-to-one mentoring. And the reason that we do that is because some of our mentees end up being joint venture partners and they bring things that I love doing it, because we've unfortunately learned the hard way and done all these system building. These get access to everything that we do, all the tech that we use, all the Excel spreadsheets that we use, building what works for them. And one of the first things we do with our mentees is we look at what do they want to get from this, and then we work out a strategy, which I think a lot of educational companies fail to do. They throw a shiny penny in your face and you end up doing that even though it's not exactly what you want to do. So we drill down has to have as an income or a lifestyle, or if it's just project led, what sort of projects they want to be delivering. If there's any questions on that, send us a message. It's not something we've got plastered everywhere, but we do have a group of mentees we work with.
Only for the special ones that come to you.
If I'm honest, we wouldn't mentee everyone. I think there's a certain deliver, good schemes, and technically property is a vehicle. So we also work out what that individual needs for their particular life. We're not here to just give you everything and leave you standing. We're not here focused, we're not making a margin on these mentoring. It's more for sort of building business around us, building more.
Fantastic. And tell us more about your modelling career. No, that's a question we're not going to take. Let's have that. Let's go for it.
So for everyone watching and listening, I haven't actually been a model, and Dill and I shot a Calvin Klein shoot together. No, I'm joking. The interesting fact is I did have it, but the comical thing about the catwalk is it was for Oxfam, and all of the clothes I was wearing were secondhand. There you go. I have done one catwalk in my life.
I'll keep telling you, Jack, you're a model, mate. When you finish, listen, nothing wrong with second-hand clothes, and it is if it's
that's why I did.
And of course, helping charity is always good. Look, thank you very much for being on, and we always have a bit of a banter. But look, it's definitely on YouTube. If I manage to get it on Facebook, go back, rewatch it. Yeah, and I put it on repeat. And this guy he had a marketing background. Believe it or not, he said as in marketing, you have something called a 7 to 4 something the first 2 or 3 times. So look, Jack has given us some amazing information and value. Please go back and rewatch it. Brilliant. And Jack, when's the next milestone? When would you like to come on next? And when's the next fascinating thing you're going to be doing?
I'll do a case study, but I'm ready when you're ready, chat.
Fantastic. It'll be great to get you back on. Unfortunately, it'll have to be after Christmas. It'll be good. And it's really great to see you back on. And look, I'm gonna really put. All right, look, buddy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing so openly. It's really appreciated.